Hiya, Whisper here, and let's talk about some stuff, some findings and things. Right? We all love that. So, let me swap over. By the way, hair for BlizzCon, done and dusted, all settled. Let me know how you think, if it looks cool or not. If you want to call me a slur, don't. But I'm just gonna delete the comment anyways. Okay, already unhinged. So we have Sims and a little bit of updates. To note, yes, these are verse gems. Does it matter? No. Okay, so just talking about stats first, right off the rip. We are still agility first and foremost. Item level is the most important. Mastery is our most important after that. Then crit and haste are very close, and versatility slightly further behind. Everything is super balanced, right? All of our stats are really close together, but mastery is definitely the front runner. Crit and haste kind of middle of the pack, and versatility is a little bit behind. But it is what it is. These gems here, they are just here to balance out the stats, right? This is what the sim wanted. This is a very minor min-max. In reality, you will probably just put crit mastery on everything, or mastery crit, or mastery haste, or whatever you feel like. This is just, best in slot, stupid nonsense. Alright, with that out of the way. You will have noticed the build here changed a little. Instead of taking Vicious Venoms, we're taking Arterial Precision and Sanguine Blades in single target. It is happening. If you're not a fan of Sanguine Blades, I have decent news. You don't play around it, and by don't play around it, I mean you still pool all the same. I will do a video on all of the advanced stuff as well. My single target and my AoE video do explain how to pool, and there's a weak aura that I made for that and all that sort of stuff. You can go watch that. But Sanguine Blades doesn't change that logic. You're still pooling exactly the same as you would without Sanguine Blades. And the spec is actually a little bit faster with Sanguine Blades instead of Vicious Venoms. So if you thought Sin was too slow, Sanguine Blades is faster. Up. We're also taking Arterial Precision in single target. Now, this is an AoE talent in the way that it makes Shiv hit multiple targets, and that is AoE. But in reality, bleed damage is just a very generic increase. And you can think of it, where is it? Here. Shiv increases your nature damage done against the target by 30%. Well, guess what? It also does bleed damage. But for the same amounts. It's the same number. So, it's just good. It's just good. We're still playing Shadow Dance. We're still playing all of the usual other stuff. T and Master Assassin. And the cooldown sequence is basically the same. The other change is we are playing Witherbark's Branch now. So this wasn't implemented in simulations for a while. This now got implemented with alongside a setting in order to properly simulate picking up the orbs. Massive shout out to Sailder, by the way. Sailder, huge theory crafter, simulation craft guy. Very good at what he does. He implemented the trinket. Big guy. Now, the way that this trinket works is you use it every 2 minutes with your death mark, and it'll spawn 3 orbs, 3 little orbs. And just like the boss mechanic from Everbloom, the orbs will slowly start to chase you. Now, the way you want to do this optimally is you want to pick up the first 2 orbs as soon as you can. So you just go boop boop, run through the orbs, pick them up. And then the third one, you kind of kite around for a couple seconds. Now, the buff lasts for 10 seconds. But the orbs themselves last for 20. You don't want to drop the buff. You do want to have the stacking, like the maximum amount of stacks during your burst. So you want to kite for 6, maybe 7 seconds. If you can do 8 or 9 and sort of really min-max it, that's good too. But in reality, anywhere from 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds is going to be perfectly fine. You pick up the third orb, get the max stacks for the end of your Kingsbane, end of your Death Mark, where your burst is the highest. You're good to go. We're also running double wafting devotions. That's just because haste really, really strong. It's burst is good. Everything else here, still fairly normal. The Incandescent Essence here, this is from Ignara? Whatever the boss is called. It's the second boss from the raid. And it drops this Incandescent Essence. It does a good bit of damage. You just enchant it onto your helm. Good to go. Alrighty. Talking about trinkets, we also see some other trinkets here. You can look over them. I'm just gonna quickly go over. This is the snake boss. It's just a passive. This is 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 the Firak trinket. Firak. I don't know how to pronounce it. It is a really high item level, but obviously you see, kind of sucks. The proc rate on this, not great. So it is what it is. Another passive. And now we're just getting into like really bad stuff, and dropping Witherbark is not an option, so there you go. The other one, this is a tank trinket, Firak's Tainted Rage Heart. This has been simming well for other classes who can drop it, such as like Paladins, I think, maybe. Not too well versed. I just heard that it was doing very well for some DPS classes. We are not one of those, so no worries there. And yeah, that's pretty good to go. I don't think Ashes is actually simmed in this particular sim, but it does pull pretty equal to the top contenders here, with Sandglass and Pips and the Porcelain Crab. So it's around that same sort of high end, but not really the best. The problem is that it would replace the Witherbark, and Witherbark is just the much better on use. So get a Witherbark. Good stuff. Now, for all the people who don't like to play dance, or, you know, don't prefer that playstyle, want Acro, for example, here's a combination. Acro here, 2.5% by dropping Deeper Stratagem and getting Lethality instead. If you don't like dance, you also get Acro, but that is slightly worse. It's about 3.5%, 4%. And you would pick up Doomblade and drop Master Assassin for that, and you'd get Acro, Lethality, and Echoing Reprimand with no capstone. So one Anima Charge combo point on the Echoing Reprimand. Good to go. I personally wouldn't recommend this, but if you super hate dance, go for it. And you'll see that we're, you know, the damage here, don't look into this too much, but it is looking good. We are a very heavy burst class, and I'll talk about that more later. I'm just kind of trying to speedrun this. Alrighty, for Mythic Plus, you'll still see the same hybrid build that we've been using the entire time. The talents haven't changed here. There is Arterial, which I think I have on another separate one. So this one's Arterial. It's a little bit behind, but it does do more AoE. You just lose out on the single target damage. The other ones here are just tests that I have. Active 3 is really the important one with Arterial Precision. The other ones are just kind of, you know, swapping a point around, like dropping Master Assassin for improved poisons or whatever. You can drop it. It's not great. Shadow Dance is really good. Just generally, kind of don't. But this is the idea. You can drop Dragon Tempered Blades for Arterial. That is the other build, right? So you'd go down this path, take Tiny Toxic, Zoldyck, Arterial, and you drop Dragon Tempered, Poison Bomb, and these 2 points. That does hurt single target by like a couple percent. You can drop Master Assassin. Not great for DPS, but if you need the range increase, for some reason, you can do that. If you want the ease of use from Twist the Knife, you can do that. If you want a little bit more burst from your Kingsbane, but less burst from your crits, which is technically Kingsbane, you could go Improved Poisons, but Throne Precision does do a lot of heavy lifting in terms of poisons in AoE, so I wouldn't generally recommend this. And it's kind of all the same. This class tree is weird. Basically, anything above this row is just utility. You can place it wherever you want. As long as you take Subterfuge, that is important for Night Stalker. But if you want to take the AoE Blind, for example, you'd swap this into Blackjack, and then you would drop, like, Deadened Nerves for it, or you drop Recuperator for it. Those would be my 2 picks. You could drop Master Poisoner for it, but I wouldn't. I mean, Master Poisoner is just kind of free utility off of Numbing and Trophic, so I wouldn't really do that. Yeah, but you can play around with the top half of this tree however you like. Whatever you prefer. Back to the trinket stuff and all that. Pips does show up as a great passive option. It gives versatility, mastery, crit. So all the stats we would ever want, and it's completely passive. It's a high uptime. It does have that second section, chance to tag a new and a best friend, giving you a big burst. But it's just on a rotation, and so it's just a big amount of passive stats, and it's all of the 3 stats that we kind of want in AoE, minus versatility, but it's still a good stat, so no big loss there. You'll see Sandglass here, also a good trinket, same as single target, just gives haste. Porcelain Crab is more mastery, also good. All of this stuff is just kind of generally good, right? You'll see Fire Axe again, the Augury, still bad. And that's about all I have in terms of visual stuff to show. I do, however, perhaps if I can just quick sim, I'll just do this while I talk. Just double check. Okay. Yeah, so we'll look at the damage breakdown, but while that's running, I just want to talk about some other things that have been happening in the background. So, I have a list here that I'm reading off. So we did find numerous tweaks to the Sims, which have been improvements. However, they don't like majorly change the gameplay. It's mostly just fixes for the simulation itself. And we did receive buffs from last week. I did make a video on that. But those buffs are being simmed in this, which is why it looks like this. Yagira's Cruel Nightmare. This is the Helm enchant I was talking about earlier, doing about 1.9. Let me scroll down a bit so you can see the whole thing. The tier is still doing 7.2. It was doing 9% like last week, but through a bunch of testing, we found a couple of bugs in the simulation that weren't reflecting how it was in-game. So we removed that, especially relating to Zoldyck and Lethal Dose. So we implemented some fixes for that to make it reflect the game a little bit better, since that was simming incorrectly. Embellishment-wise, I talked about this in a different video, but embellishment-wise, Spore Cloak still far and away the best. Next up would be Toxic Thorn Foot Wraps in single targets, and in AoE, you would be running with a blue silken lining. Even on low uptime, the mastery here is good. So all good there. If you really don't want to play blue silken lining, you can still opt in for your foot wraps, and that would all be good, right? So foot wraps, Spore Cloak, or the blue silken lining for a little bit of AoE in Mythic Plus. The talk about that. Okay, yes. So the order in which you craft them in. Because right now we're running the Toxic Thorn boots with the Toxified Armor Patch enchantment, which is doubling the effect of the foot wraps, right? The kind of easy way to go about it is to craft your boots at a higher item level first, even though the Spore Cloak is better. And the reason for that is because of the Toxified Patch, you're technically getting two boots worth of damage from one craft, right? So you'll see at the bottom, these effects are increased by 100% if you equipped an item crafted with a Toxified Armor Patch. That doesn't scale with item level. You can put on like a 250 item level crafted piece with a Toxified Armor Patch, and it would still double the effects of the boots. So you can have your Season 2 crafted Toxified Armor Patch and craft a Season 3 version of the boots and get the boots to double their damage, right? So that would be my personal recommendation for a first craft when the patch comes out. And you would want to get a dagger from Mythic Plus, ideally a Nick of Time, but if you don't get a Nick of Time, then yeah, any dagger will do, right? You're looking for the highest item level possible in your main hand. If you don't get a dagger in your main hand, highest item level, crafting one can be good, but it is a little bit of a short-term thing. I would really, really recommend Toxic Thorn. The Spore Cloak would then come after to replace your patch. I have it on my bracers, so it would replace my bracers, and I would have bracers from Mythic Plus ready to go. So, that's good. Rotationally, what's changed? Especially now that we're playing Arterial and all this. Nothing. Nothing's changed. It's all the same. You still play 2 Shivs on Kingsbane. Sanguine is just kind of a passive thing. You still pool all the same. However, there was a slight thing, which is not really so much of a gain as much as it's like just equal. Kind of, it's like a side grade type of situation. But you can now use finishers on 4 combo points instead of 5. And it's just fine. The reason for this is because Seal Fate on Mutilate gives 2 combo points total. Like if both hands crit, so Mutilate gives 2 baseline, and then the main hand Seal Fate can crit, and the offhand Seal Fate can crit for a total of 4. If you were to use a Mutilate on 4 combo points, and it crits, you would be wasting all of the crit combo points from Seal Fate, right? Now, in the past, this hasn't been that important, and we've sort of blasted past it, and just been like, yeah, if you're on 4, you just continue generating. You have a maximum of 6, you don't play around Seal Fate. But now that Assassination is slower, being a little bit more efficient with your combo points actually makes it so that finishing on 4 is kind of fine. It's not a downgrade, it's not an upgrade. It's like you don't have to finish on 4 or higher. You can still finish on 5 if that's what you're comfortable with. But it is an option, so don't feel bad if you get to 4 combo points and finish. Perfectly okay. It's like a 0.1% difference. Who cares? Now, the other thing, which is kind of why I wanted a quick sim, is this looks really cool until you open the chart and you see, holy moly, big burst. That's a lot of damage. This is the execute peak, right, from Zoldyck, and this one is from Lust. This is the 2 minute in the middle that doesn't really have anything. But this does have a weird implication, and the weird implication of that is we are now in contention for the best target for Power Infusion from a Priest. As far as the numbers that I have seen, and the people that I have talked to, other theory crafters, Assassination Rogue is looking to be, at minimum, competitive for a Power Infusion. Warlocks are kind of down bad in 10.2. Their burst got neutered, and Power Infusion isn't really that good for them anymore. However, our peaks right here are really, really high. Our burst is ridiculously high. So, if you're the best rogue in your guild and you play Assassination, good chance you probably get a PI. It's also a really good timing compared to something like Unholy DK. All right, like a 3-minute timer kind of sucks, but we're on a 2-minute timer, so they can just kind of slam it on cooldown. Which is good. It means that Shadow Priest Power Infusion isn't that bad for us. The one downside to a Shadow Priest Power Infusion is that Shadow Priest will want to cast it earlier while we're still ramping up for our burst. You can kind of accelerate your opener a little bit, right? We talked about this in some of the raid testing videos, where you skip a couple of GCDs to get your Death Mark and your Kingsbane out earlier. If you're getting a Power Infusion, that might be something you want to play around with. But in general, if you're getting a healer PI, you can just macro it to have them whisper, or you whisper them, and then they give you PI. There's a very famous macro for that. I don't know where it is. I'm not going to link it, but if you're interested, you can go find it, I'm pretty sure. It's all over the place. But, yeah, it also means that we're a good target for Augmentation Evoker, because Augmentation Evoker. What can I say? Stack the externals. We're that class now. We're those idiots that just want stupid little augmentation buffs and power infusions and big burst and ooh, look at this, look at spikes. Oh, big spikes, big damage. And that's about all that I have to say. I think it's likely that we're probably going to see a little bit of a nerf. Tyr is looking really juicy. Might see a nerf to that. Kingsbane is still really juicy. Might see a nerf to that. Otherwise, it's shaping up to be a really good patch for Assassination. We'll see how degenerate the external stuff is. Hopefully not that much. Being reliant on Power Infusion and Augmentation Evoker is not a great thing, but it is what it is. Someone's got to be the best. Might as well be us. And that's about all I have. I fly out to BlizzCon tomorrow, so that's exciting stuff. My first BlizzCon. I also need to finish up some guides, so you guys probably won't see a video from me for a little bit. I would assume. Probably about a week. I'll be back next week. If you're at BlizzCon and you want to say hi, hit me up on Discord or whatever. I'm sure we'll find each other. I'll be in the halls like anyone else, watching the convention like everyone else, so we'll meet up. It's fine. Video was much longer than I thought it would be. And I am stressed. Do I have anything else? No. Okay. I need to go to work. Have a good one. Bye!